What it do, cuckolds? It's your boy the Hater, and I'm outside, and it's Friday, which could possibly mean one thing, as we all know. Friday night Smackdown review. All right. Now, let's get to the show as we tend to do, segment by segment. In my personal opinion, this show was not good at all. But there were a few moments that were interesting, largely the LA Knight stuff, but we're going to get to all that. So the show starts out with one of the worst beginnings in the history of television. I'm not even talking about wrestling. This is one of the worst openings of anything ever, right? Think about like the Star-Spangled Banner and the worst rendition of it you can think of. This was worse than that, right? Jimmy Uso comes out, nobody gives a flying fuck. Like, nobody is reacting at all. You could tell that they had these fake crowd reactions because nobody was reacting. Literally everyone was waiting for this to end. Jimmy Uso comes out. He should never be given a microphone again in his life. He has absolutely zero charisma. Neither does Jay. But Jay is smart. Jay understands that he can't cut a promo for shit. He can't do what the Hater does. He can't do these things. So, being that he's a little bit smarter than the rest of his family, it seems like, he understood this, and he thought to himself, how can I get away with not cutting any promos and still get over? Well, I can just pretty much copy Stone Cold's what? You know what I mean? And take it and make it yeet. And basically he can say like 3 words and say yeet, right? And then nobody can pinpoint the fact that he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Jay Uso just says like 3 things. He's like, I'm going to win. Yeet. Right? And then while he says yeet, he thinks another 3 words. Now, that's kind of silly, but you got to give him props for that, right? He understands his limitations, and therefore he works around them. Jimmy doesn't understand his limitations, and he goes out there with the confidence of somebody that can cut a promo and then cuts a shit promo. Anyways, the promo is also a waste of time for other reasons, such as it advances nothing, right? It's a promo for the sake of a promo. Basically, Jimmy Uso says, people have been wondering what Jimmy Uso's going to do next, right? First of all, nobody's wondering that at all. People are wondering how Jimmy Uso is still employed. That's what people are wondering, if anything. But, he says, people want to know what I'm going to do next. And then the answer to this question is, I don't know, Us. I don't know what I'm going to do next, yo. You know what I mean? Like, I just fucking hate everything about the Usos, honestly. Like, the way they talk, the way they move. I hate them when they do the Uso penitentiary thing where they're ghetto. I hate when they do the haka. The haka's fucking weird. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why people understood this to be like this intimidating dance. It's just a bunch of people dancing. You know what I mean? No one's ever been intimidated by that ever. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. But basically, this thing goes on for way too long. Drew McIntyre attacks him. That's how the segment ends, right? So maybe he's going to job to Drew McIntyre in the near future, right? It doesn't really matter, though, if Drew McIntyre beats Jimmy Uso or Sami Zayn. Like, they're all jobbers. So, like, nobody cares at all. But basically, that's what happens. In the aftermath of this, we see Nick Aldis telling Drew McIntyre, you can't do this. I invited her here not to attack people. It's like, what do you think he was going to do? That's what he did last time he was here. But anyways, Drew McIntyre doesn't say anything. He goes to Nick's office. Meanwhile, Nick is outside, and Bianca approaches, and she's like, what are you going to do? You know what happened with Jade, right? Girl, what happened with Jade? And then Nick Aldis says, well, I don't know what happened with Jade. He doesn't really have that thick of an English accent. I'm just trying to make fun of everybody today, That's how I'm feeling. But Nick Aldis basically says, I don't know what's going to happen. And actually, I didn't make a note of this, but I did remember when Nick Aldis was delivering this, he kept making these weird sounds. He's like, well, eesh, oof, right? He's just like, everything he's saying just sounds insecure. It's really odd. Nick Aldis is cool otherwise, but he's just not good at the mic, right? He should be a wrestler. He's like in his 30s. You know what I mean? Like, he's younger than LA Knight. He should be wrestling. He's bigger than everybody else, basically, except for a few other people. But he should be wrestling, in my opinion. Anyways, that's not here nor there, right? Basically, Nick Aldis says, we have no choice but to strip you of the title, Bianca. Naomi's there for some reason. Now, Bianca says, you can't strip me of the title. And then Naomi says, yeah, you can't strip Bianca of the title. I'll be her partner, right? In my opinion, I think that the payoff of the who attacked Jade Cargill was that it was Bayley. But I think now they've shifted it to Naomi. I'm not sure why they would have done this shift, but it would make no sense for Naomi to attack her, because if she's attacking her, she puts her team at a disadvantage at War Games. So why would you want to do that? You know what I mean? Attack her after War Games. So that's why it made more sense for Bayley to be the one who attacked her, because then Bayley can interject herself in the War Games and, and get a boost, I guess, whatever, right? So there you have it. we're gonna see basically. But of course they're not gonna strip Bianca, because if they were gonna do it, they would have already done it, right? I don't know why the investigation needs to finish for Nick to strip her. Like they know that Jade is hurt, presumably, right? They already know this, and the idea is if she's hurt, she can't defend. If she can't defend, they need to strip her of the titles. But then again, Cody Rhodes never defends. Then again, JD and Finn Balor never defend. So there you have it. But basically, that's how that goes down. Then we have Michin versus Tiffy, right? Tiffy, does her things. Michin does her things. Neither of them have a personality worth a damn, so nobody cares. At the very least, you can say what you want about Bianca Belair, but she's got a personality, you know what I mean? She's, sassy, I guess. I don't know. That's, her thing. That's, her personality. Tiffy's personality used to be that she was, this rich girl, but now she's just a lackey. She has no personality. She has the personality of, Shayna Baszler. But anyways, neither here nor there. Basically, Tiffy does the prettiest moonsault ever, hits it, right? But, Michin sucks. So when she tries to roll out of the way, she doesn't, so Tiffy hits it. Michael Cole's Tiffy got it with the prettiest moonsault ever. Then, of course, that's not the plan. So Michin no-sells it, gets up and hits the eat the feet, and pins Tiffy, right? And then Corey Graves is I don't think she got all of it. Think about how frequently Michael Cole and Corey Graves have to say things like, she didn't get all of it, right? You know what that means? That means that the people that are doing the move suck ass. And the people taking the move also suck ass. You hear this 3 times every episode of Raw. Every single, and now there's 5 matches. If you're lucky, there's 5 matches on a Raw. Usually 3 or 4, right? And you still hear it 3 times. Nobody can wrestle anymore. But Michin wins. It makes sense. I mean, irrespective of what anyone wants to say, Tiffany Stratton, you can sense that she's going to get a push eventually, and Michin is not. So it makes more sense for the lower card people to be the first ever U.S. Women's Champion, right? Because that title is going to mean nothing, forever. So whatever, right? So she wins. Then we have Melo, Carmelo Hayes. He wants a match. He gets a match, right? Basically, he's treated like an idiot and like a child. And I don't like it, you know what I mean? I predicted this, like I predicted everything else basically that's happened in the last 5 years. You know what I mean? I said, when everyone was saying, I can't wait for Carmelo to go to the main roster so he can be a star. And I said exactly what's happening. I said Carmelo Hayes will have meaningless matches with someone on the level of Apollo Crews. That's exactly what I said. And he had meaningless matches with Andrade, someone on the level of Apollo Crews, as seen later tonight. Now, he has to go have a match, and it's Braun Strowman. This is just goofy. It's laughable. Obviously, Carmelo Hayes has no chance to win, both in kayfabe and in real life, of course. Braun Strowman would tear him apart in 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Braun Strowman somehow comes out looking goofier than usual. He's wearing what can best be described as skinny jeans. It's you're a very large man. Wear sweatpants, right? That'll make him just look more vicious. Instead of wearing skinny jeans, he's a very large dude. He doesn't have to be wearing tight clothing. It's weird. But anyways, Melo has a few moves. Melo's moves are all excellent. You know what I mean? Carmelo Hayes is a very talented individual in the ring. He's very athletic. But it doesn't matter because he's just too small, right? And this is exactly what I was saying in yesterday's video. Triple H doesn't know how to make stars. They make Carmelo Hayes the world champion, and then they don't think this through. They're like, okay, you can have Carmelo Hayes beat Ilya Dragunov, right? That's obviously believable, just like it's believable for Ilya Dragunov to beat him. Hell, it's even believable in some circumstance for Carmelo Hayes to beat Trick Williams. I mean, obviously in real life, Trick would destroy him, but it's believable, right? It's not like Trick Williams is not Braun Strowman, you know what I mean? But there's no chance that anyone would ever believe that Trick Williams, Ilya Dragunov, Gunther, Carmelo, Andrade, Apollo Crews, Jacob Fatu, that any of these guys would last more than 30 seconds against Braun Strowman. Oh, hater, size doesn't mean you can win fights. That's what everyone that's never been in a fight says. Strength and weight are the 2 most important elements in fighting, bar none, right? You might even make an argument that weight is more important than strength because you can leverage yourself, you can push yourself against people. That's neither here nor there. Point is, though Carmelo does some cool moves, he essentially gets squashed. And it got me thinking. I'm thinking to myself, this is exactly what I would want to happen. I want Braun Strowman to beat people like Carmelo because that's what makes sense. But I can't help but feel bad for Carmelo, right? Because even though, like I said, even though I was right about his prospects being that he's a jobber, he's 30 years old and he's losing a match in 2 minutes. I say he's 30 years old only to show that they have no prospects for this guy, right? If you were 25 and winning matches, that's a big difference than being 30 and losing matches, right? Like even LA Knight, who's like 41, you know what I mean? He's winning matches mostly, right? So it's like, you know, like, do you think Carmelo Hayes is going to be in the company in 10 years? Absolutely not. Carmelo Hayes, in like 3 or 4 years, he'll be gone. Don't be surprised if in like 1 year or 2 years, he's being managed by MVP in like AW Rampage or something like that, you know? That's where I see this happening. But it's sad. It's sad because this guy is like, I think, a 2-time NXT champion, or at least, obviously, a 1-time NXT champion, right? He's like a big deal in NXT. And it's like, what does that say about NXT? It says that if Braun Strowman wants to go there, he could squash everyone in that jobber-ass show. But it was what it was. For what it was a good match, right? Nothing like to say about that in the context of the match itself, right? The match was a squash match where Carmelo Hayes got some notable moves in. Yeah, good for him. Then we have LA Knight backstage. Basically, LA Knight, he must have been watching the haters' videos because he basically cuts a hater promo. He buries Roman Reigns, he buries Solo Sikoa, and he buries the Ula Fala. He even mispronounced it, just like the hater mispronounced it, you know? I think he had a slightly different mispronunciation, but the joke is the same. Nobody gives a fuck about this Samoan pepper necklace, right? Nobody could give a rat's ass. It's not interesting, you know? And I should note, I'm not sure if it happened before this or after this, but there was a Roman Reigns, like, you know, with Paul Heyman in the background, like, vignette, and Paul Heyman challenges Solo Sikoa to an Ula Fala match, basically tribal combat, you know, on January 6th on Netflix. Now, a couple of things. This is like 3 weeks from now, right? So we have 3 weeks of nothing, you know, like ahead of us. But whatever, you know, I get that January 6th is a big deal for Netflix, and it's a big deal for WWE. So we have to wait 21 days more. It's like 25, 26 days. It's almost like a month. It's almost like a month until this match happens. But, you know, it's a good place to have the match, all things considered, right? Now, it's going to set a horrible precedent because the idea is going to be that, like, people expect Raw to be full of, like, important matches. Man, can you imagine how disappointed Netflix and the fans are going to be 6 weeks, like, by, like, February or March? You know, or even this, by August after WrestleMania? Because they're going to do some things during WrestleMania, but after WrestleMania, can you imagine how disappointed the fans are going to be? They're going to expect, like, Roman Reigns and, you know, Solo Sikoa for tribal combat for the Ula Fala, and they're going to get, like, Ilya Dragunov versus Ludwig Kaiser. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be great. I can't wait for, like, the fans to lose their minds. But anyways, LA Knight says, basically, that nobody gives a shit about any of this, and LA Knight tried to stay out of their business, but they attacked him for no reason, so now LA Knight is going to come and whoop that ass, right? He's going to give Solo Sikoa 3 the hard way. Yeah. Anyways, as far as all that goes, the match is happening tonight, which is pretty cool. Then we have the match, LA Knight versus Solo Sikoa. The entire match can be summarized by LA Knight beats the hell out of all 3 of them, right? Until Jacob Fatu just grabs him from behind. That's all it is. Like, he pretty much, like, outsmarts them, he out-wrestles them, he outperforms them, he humiliates Solo Sikoa, and LA Knight needs to get a push. The time is now. LA Knight is massively over. Like, if you compare the reaction that he got during his backstage promo, when compared to Jimmy Uso's, like, live promo, it's like night and day, right? LA Knight is over. LA Knight is awesome. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. During the match, which was pretty good, it ended with a DQ. LA Knight won by DQ, but it was a good match. I was thinking during the match, I'm like, all right, let's look at, like, let's say Chris Benoit, right? I was going to say Dean Malenko, but let's focus on Benoit for a second. Let's look at Chris Benoit, right? Chris Benoit is someone that's, like, historically considered to be good in the ring, right? Now, I remember Chris Benoit, and I remember never being entertained by Chris Benoit, except for, like, there's, like, 3 matches that I found entertaining, right? And they were all, like, either storyline-driven matches, or there was that, like, that one with Kurt Angle, which was just an excellent match. Like, but, like, they were suplexing the hell out of each other, right? Benoit generally wasn't very entertaining, right? I remember being at, like, No Mercy back in the day in Baltimore. You know what I mean? I was a kid, but, like, I was visiting Baltimore with my family, and, like, I convinced my parents to buy me a ticket, right? So I went there while they went to get dinner with their friends, you know, waiting for me, like, near Baltimore. And long story short, I really enjoyed that No Mercy. There was a lot of cool things that happened. It was the same one where Vince McMahon wrestled Stephanie McMahon, you know, in like an I Quit match or whatever it was, you know. But I had really good seats, and I was sitting next to these neckbeards, right? But I was a kid, so, like, I thought these guys were, like, cool. They weren't, like, fat losers, but they were dorks. You know what I mean? Like now, if the hater was, like, the age I am now, and I met those guys, I'd be like, don't fucking talk to me before I slap you in the face for no reason. Cut. But anyways, back then I was like, oh, wow, old people, right? And all these people really liked, like, you know, they liked Chris Benoit. I like John Cena. You know, this is when John Cena was doing the rap stuff. That was a big John Cena mark. You know, I like Brock Lesnar. People were like, Undertaker's better. And I'm like, all right, whatever, yeah? And then one of the matches was Benoit versus A-Train. And I like A-Train. I'm like, I want A-Train to win. A-Train's cool. You know, he's unique looking. He's got big power moves. Benoit does like the sharpshooter and the crossface. Lo and behold, Benoit puts the sharpshooter on him. And the guy next to me, I'll never forget it. This guy wasn't a neckbeard. He was a different guy by himself too. But he was older. He's like, man, I was like, this match is boring. You know? And he's like, no match with Benoit is boring. And I'm like, this one is. You know what I mean? Let me tell it to you like it is. This one is. Like earlier that day, we had like JBL doing a clothesline from hell to Shaniqua. That's what I want to see. I want to see cool storyline driven shit like that. It was the Bashams, which was like JBL and Farouk, you know, like, or not JBL, Bradshaw and Farouk, the APA. This was like right before the APA like stopped being a thing. So it was really, really cool. But anyways, I digress. The point is, you have someone like Benoit, and he does the moves excellently, we're told, right? But like, what's more entertaining to you? Benoit doing a sharpshooter, or LA Knight climbing the middle rope, doing the LA Knight, yeah, and then jumping to the top rope and doing a top rope elbow. To me, the LA Knight stuff is much cooler. It's much more entertaining, right? So that's what I was like thinking about during this match. I'm like, everything LA Knight does is just fun. You know, he does fun things. And during one of the earlier matches, side tangent, one of the girls, I think it was Michin, she tried to do a tarantula. Remember Tajiri's move, the tarantula, right? And she didn't do it well, obviously. And it got me thinking, like, how cool Tajiri is, right? Tajiri, his finishing move was like a kick to the head. Nothing crazy, but a fun move, right? But, like, he did so many other things that were just entertaining, right? He did the little, like, springboard, like, you know, back elbow thing, which was pretty cool. But, like, it was cool because, like, nobody else did that kind of shit back then. He did the mist, you know, and perhaps my favorite move of Tajiri's, the tarantula. You know, it's a move that like doesn't really make any sense, but it's fun to see and it always got a big pop. So anyways, make wrestling cool again, cucks. But that's what happened. You know, LA Knight got screwed. Then there was an attempt to save him by Andrade and Apollo Crews, right? They eventually got their asses beat. It got me thinking, it would have been better if it was like Andrade and Carmelo, you know, because they were feuding with LA Knight. And the way you could have done this is 2 weeks ago when Jacob Fatu laid out Apollo Crews, just have him lay out Carmelo Hayes. Yeah? And now like the three of them, the three amigos, can like patch things up, right? But they didn't do this, you know? And again, I'm not upset like if this leads to like a very, very small Apollo Crews push. I like Apollo Crews, you know? I think Apollo Crews is like literally one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Like this guy's got everything. He's got the size, the strength, the speed. And it's like you have him losing to like Santos Escobar, you know, like I don't even understand how this makes any sense. You have him teaming up with Baron Corbin losing to like Pretty Deadly, you know, like Apollo Crews should beat these guys like immediately, you know. But anyways, the point is they get their asses beat, but nothing mattered because, you know, who gives a shit about this, right? Also, Nakamura was not on the show. Normally I wouldn't give a shit about this, but he came out last week to do something. He didn't do it, and now he didn't do it this week either, right? So it's just shit booking, complete shit booking. But whatever, that's what happened, right? Next up, we have Bayley versus Chelsea Green. The match culminates with Bayley nearly being counted out. She makes it to the ring by the count of 9. Chelsea hits the unpretty her, you know what I'm saying? And which is a jumping unprettier, and pins her clean, right? And now it's going to be Chelsea Green versus Michin for the U.S. title. I don't know. If I had to choose, I would want Chelsea Green to win. But I'm okay with Michin winning too. You know what I mean? It should be someone of that level. Someone that hasn't gotten a push yet. Like these guys, like not B-Fab, but the other one. Jada Parker's on NXT. B-Fab, like someone like that. B-Fab, you know, Chelsea Green, fucking Michin, Doudrop, like one of those, or whatever, Piper Niven, like Nikki Cross, you know what I mean? Scarlett. It should be one of those people that like doesn't win anything ever. They should have that opportunity. But they didn't go with that, so what can you say, right? Now, to culminate the night, we had like, you can't even call it a main event because nothing fucking happened. But basically, Cody Rhodes is going to have an interview with Michael Cole. There's like 4 minutes left in the show, right? The interview with Michael Cole is Michael Cole says, oh, you're not like Kevin Owens because he wanted to do it in his car. Great, fantastic, right? Cody Rhodes just says like, all right, let's do the interview. Kevin Owens interrupts with a car promo. Right? Like, basically, this is like straight up hater on the road. Owens on the road, except not as entertaining as the hater. So Owens says, like, Cody, you know, like, you basically says, Cody, you suck. You're not interesting. Stardust is more interesting. You know, like, he says the things that are completely true. But basically, the premise is that Cody Rhodes, you're a jobber. You're not a good son. You're not a good brother. Who gives a fuck, right? The point is, Cody Rhodes, you're just a boring hack of a champion, you know? And you're a bad friend. This is enough to make Cody Rhodes go find Kevin Owens and beat him up. He finds him immediately when he goes backstage. They end up back in the ring. The security are holding, Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens just hits him with the belt. Now, I found this to be a bit inconsistent. I would have liked for Kevin Owens to pick him up and just do a pile driver, but you know, I guess in kayfabe he's like, you know, he has the match tomorrow, so he wants to like beat him up tomorrow, right? You know, honestly, at this point, like, I mean, I actually think that Kevin Owens would be a worse champion than Cody Rhodes. That's how shit Kevin Owens is. But I'm okay with Kevin Owens winning because it's basically a lateral. It's like, imagine two people are running, and instead of throwing a pass forward, you know, you're still before the scrimmage line, you lateral it like 1 yard backwards. That's what this would be. A 1 yard backwards lateral, right? Basically, like, you know, you lose 1 yard. That's it, right? That's how it's going to be. This is not like a big deal. It's not a pass forward. It's not any kind of interesting thing. The only problem with that is, like, so what if Kevin Owens wins it? It's like, I don't see a scenario where Kevin Owens takes the title to WrestleMania. And we're actually at that point now, right? Because January is in like 3 weeks. You know, apparently the Rumble is like at the end of January or the beginning of February. But after that, it's like it's a wrap. You know what I mean? After that, it's like whoever's the champion then, chances are they're going to be the champion into WrestleMania. Chances are, right? There's always a possibility of like The Rock coming back or something earlier than that. We'll see how that goes down. But what the hell happened with that, by the way, The Rock coming back? Anyways, so that's what the SmackDown was. The LA Knight promo and the LA Knight match was good. The Braun Strowman match with Carmelo was like decent, you know, considering what it was again, right? And honestly, like, I will say this, like, the two women's matches, for what they were pretty good too, right? We had a decisive winner, you know, it was for a purpose. It wasn't like a meaningless match, right? I mean, it's quasi-meaningless because nobody cares about the women's US title, but nevertheless, it wasn't meaningless, right? We had a women's match, and they were fighting for a reason. So, you know, actually, in hindsight, even though there was like no stars on this show except for LA Knight, like, this was not a bad show by today's standards, you know? By, like, you know, the Attitude Era standards, this show is like worse in its totality than like a Val Venus promo would have been. But we're not back there, we're here now. So, you know, I give this show a nice 5 out of 10, you know, like below average, like all time, but, you know, obviously decent considering the situations. But yeah, cuckolds, that's how that goes down. Now, I don't know if I'm going to watch Saturday Night Main Event. I have a lot of work to do Sunday and Monday, and then I'm kind of like freed up a little bit. I mean, I still have work to do like for the rest of the week, but now I'm like more freed. So like, I really got to get through this Monday, so expect obviously like, I'm going to do a video anyways every day, but you know what I mean. And also, I just don't know if I want to watch it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not interested in watching it. The end of this episode of SmackDown, once Cody Rhodes came out in a suit, it's like, I bet you the viewership dropped to like 0 because who the fuck wants to watch this? You know what I mean? Who the hell cares? Like, you know that Cody was just going to say some things, and then there's going to be an attack. So, whatever. Either way, if not, I'll do a video tomorrow about something else, and that's how it's going to be. Cuckolds, take care of yourself, motherfuckers.